Good morning, I'm Leslie Ann.
And I'm Big Chuck, and we're standing around the water cooler having a little visit, so we thought we'd turn the microphone on this morning.
That's right.
Hey, Leslie, Halloween, of course, coming right up here. Do you remember when you were a kid any particular Halloween costume at all?
Oh, I've had some doozies.
Oh, I'll bet you drove your parents crazy.
Well, you know what? After a very short while, they said, you're on your own. We're not getting the costume for you. You make it yourself. Do what you want to do. But up until, I would say, roughly the age of 7, perhaps, they would buy me those store-bought costumes. And I remember very distinctly the superheroes back in the 70s.
See?
Wonder Woman. Remember that crazy clown? That wasn't a superhero, but it was really creepy.
I can see you. We need to see a picture of you in your Wonder Woman costume. We need to. You need to go as Wonder Woman today.
Yeah, well, that's what my husband says, but that's a whole nother thing. But I used to, the plastic mask and those cheesy tie-in-the-back costumes.
I know, and the thing about it is my girl's now grown and gone, of course, but they always remember, especially from our area in upstate New York, Oneonta, spending so much time on their Halloween costumes. They had to have it just right, and then when they went out, they had to put a coat on because it was 0 and snowing.
Isn't that the truth?
It's true. You know what? I am old enough that I remember my costumes from the late 50s. And I remember going as a spaceman before there was a man on the moon.
No kidding.
I mean, we didn't know what a spaceman was, but me and my friends, of course, we dressed up with tinfoil and coat hangers, and we were aliens. And this would be anywhere from 59 to 60, 61. I was 10, 11 in that era. But, John Glenn was on the cover of Life magazine. Nobody knew what a spaceman looked like. So we made our own, lots of tinfoil.
I was going to say, you could get pretty creative with that.
Lots of tinfoil. And we had no idea because there was no man on the moon yet. So it was all fantasy still ahead. I got to ask you this. Have you, I'm guessing that you're going to say yes to this, but how do you feel about adult costume parties?
Okay, it's funny you ask because my family's been invited to one. Now, it's a family costume Halloween party.
Yep.
So adults and kids alike. This one's really super fun. There's something for everybody. But I will say, I absolutely hate trying to figure out what the heck I'm going to wear.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of an outdoor party. It's in a building that's chilly. And I always
put your coat on after you get your costume, just like a kid.
It really limits what you can do, unless you want to shiver all night long.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a tricky one.
Yeah. You know what? I have not been to. Well, let me preface this by saying there is one, but I'll say this: I hadn't been to a adult Halloween costume party in more than 30 or 35 years. I had no appeal. No appeal at all. And then a couple of years back, Trish and I said, we think we have one more adult Halloween party in us. And lo and behold, this is probably, 5 years ago. Lo and behold, we got invited to a Halloween party. And so it was so funny because I resisted. I didn't want to do it, but...
Well, you got to come up with something.
We wanted to do one. So anyway... Trish is very literary and, she's very into all of that stuff. So she went as her favorite artist, Frida Kahlo, the Mexican painter.
Oh, yes.
Who has a very distinct look. She had the unibrow and the monkey on her shoulder and the serape and the flowers in her hair. And I got to tell you, Trish looked just exactly like Frida Kahlo. So I didn't want to go, but I went and I said, okay, I did a little research, and Frida Kahlo was married to a famous Mexican painter named Diego Rivera. I said, this is perfect. We'll go as this famous Mexican artist couple.
There you go.
So I put a thing on. I had paintbrushes. I didn't know what he looked like. We went to a Halloween party at a house, and people absolutely raved about Trish and her depiction of Frida Kahlo. It was spot on. Nobody had a clue who I was. I
You were the
sat
sidekick.
in the corner, lonely, drinking a beer, thinking, "Why am I doing this?" Watching everybody flit like fireflies around Trish. It was, and I said, "I can't do this anymore. I go
Done.
way off. I should have gone as the baseball player." And that's the other thing, because I know our kids. Well, you have kids, I have kids, and they're all growing up and all that. But it's fun to watch the transition. They get really creative when they're little. And you know that the last year of trick-or-treating is coming when they say, "Yeah, I'll go as a ball player."
Yeah.
Right? Because then it's, they're just
yeah.
doing it for candy, and that's the last year.
my
Are you
kids-
at that yet?
Uh-huh. My kids are totally just doing it for the candy. In fact, they're both going to dress up in costumes that need labels because nobody's going to know who the heck they are. They're both going to be characters from, one's going to be a character of an animated television show that's popular.
Yeah.
And the other one's going to be a very obscure character from the Harry Potter movies.
Well, not Harry Potter.
No! Like an uncle.
Well, then this
I
is
said
their-
you might want to wear a name tag.
Is there going to be a lot of work involved in these, or this is like, baseball
Nah.
player?
No. They went to the Salvation Army,
Okay, everybody does.
got their stuff.
Yeah, good.
And I'll tell you what, it's amazing what you can find at the Salvation Army. Quality items,
Yeah.
by the way.
I know. How about this? Since we're talking about it, trick or treat night, candy, and when you went to a door, what did you really, really want?
Oh,
what was the best
easy.
candy, and what was the worst thing you could get when you knocked on the door?
Okay. Worst thing, an apple.
That
Somebody
is-
always gave those out back in the day.
I agree.
There was always the health food house.
I agree.
Best thing, the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups or Butterfinger. Any kind of candy bar pretty much was good by me.
Yeah.
But those are my faves.
I agree. For me, I would have to say, and I'll put an asterisk by it, the apple always was bad.
Yeah.
We had somebody in our neighborhood who would give us a nickel. That was bad. And
Yeah, they
believe
dig
it or
through the
not,
change purse because they got nothing.
believe it or not, we also had somebody in our neighborhood who gave us a pencil.
Really?
So you can imagine.
But was it a fun pencil?
No, it was gross. And
No.
you can imagine what their houses look like at the end of the night. All right. But this is the thing I want to say. The asterisk on the apple was nobody wanted to get an apple. I can hear all the parents listening to us right now going, "Come on, it's healthy. It's good." Nobody cares about that on
Right.
Halloween night.
That's
the
not what you're looking
asterisk
for.
by the apple is if it's a candy apple. I was a big sucker for candy apples.
too.
And
You'd be wearing it by the end of the night.
so I will just end it on this. If you were to get a candy apple, would you prefer a candy apple? Are you a candy apple girl or a caramel apple girl?
Caramel.
Yeah.
Candy apple, it's like you're in fear of breaking every tooth you've got.
Well, and then with
Especially
caramel
at our age.
and caramel, you'll pull every filling that you
Right,
have.
that's
So
true.
we
You
need
can't
to
win.
stay away from candy apples.
Pretty
All
much.
right. I'll meet you at the cooler back here tomorrow.
You got it, Chuck.